Will there be no extensions or exceptions? They will be required as
Based on
stated
what
for
you
each
indicated
division.
about the coaches and umpire clinics, will there be no extensions or exceptions? They will be required as stated for each division.
Sorry, Justin. One of the comments they were saying is they're hearing an echo from you. So just make sure one of your rooms don't have the speaker on in both cases. I just saw that comment come across my desk. I apologize about that. So the question was about umpire one more time, because
Based on what you indicated about the coaches and umpire
sidetracked
clinics,
with
there
the
will be
echo
no
comment.
extensions or exceptions.
Based on what you indicated about the coaches and umpire clinics, there will be no extensions or exceptions.
That is correct. So as far as certification goes, so one of the questions I've been asked, if I can repeat the question, because I guess in both rooms to make sure you can hear accordingly. So the question really comes down to, will there be exceptions around the coach and umpire certification? And again, out of the gate, the answer is we're proceeding with certification. So if you need X amount of levels, then we are providing lots of opportunity to complete those levels. If you choose not to, well, then you would not meet those requirements. Now, again, at the end of the day, could rep council make a change later on in the season around that? That's always the rep council's direction under the circumstances. However, from our coach and player director, Dirk, and again from Ray Merkley, our supervisor of umpires, certification is moving forward. All the education pieces are along with it, and we would not be looking to make an exception for those who didn't complete it.
Okay, next question. Hypothetically, if we do not have a season at all in 2020, does this mean that players are designated as not having played a year in the OVA, and as a result, they could then be released by their association?
Does this mean that players are designated as not having played a year in the OVA, and as a result, they could then be released by their association and could join any club?
That's going to be a rep council decision, because obviously Board of Management doesn't govern competition at the rep level. So that would be answered there, and I'm sure that debate will occur, but I do not believe, again, the question was everyone becomes free agents, and I have a hard time seeing rep council doing that, but that will be left to rep council at their next meeting to discuss once we
What
know
about
more
rep
about the
team
baseball
fees
season.
and fees to leagues? What should be done there?
What about rep team fees and fees to leagues? What should be done there?
So again, fees to leagues are determined by locals and affiliates. As far as teams and fees to Baseball Ontario, again, boils down to the season. So if we have that 8-week season, you're participating throughout, then the fee structure obviously is what we have in place today. Now, should there be a change to that, that would come from Board of Management and the Executive Committee as it relates to the finance. But as of today, there were no discussions of a reduction of that fee, because again, our goal is to still save baseball with that 8-week type of program. So should we find out that that changes, then that would be addressed accordingly. But for now, we have not entertained the reduction of fees to Baseball Ontario as it relates to rep and select. But again, that could be
Next question. What about sponsors? How do we deal with the value of the
sponsorship? But for now, we have not.
Next question. What about sponsors? How do we deal with the value of sponsorship?
Next question. What about sponsors? How do we deal with the value of sponsorship?
Value of sponsorship.
How do you deal with the
value of sponsorship?
Sorry, I don't understand the question. How do you deal with the value of sponsorship? Sorry, guys. If you can rephrase that, whoever asked that question.
Okay. For a center set to host Labor Day weekend championship that cannot host at any other time, is there any speculation as to what may happen with that event?
Labor Day weekend championship that cannot host at any other time. Is there any speculation as to what may happen with that event?
So another great question. You know, here we are, and I said earlier that Baseball Ontario's level of agility is much easier at the provincial level. Absolutely. So we're like, hey, we can do provincial September the 20th. I made that date up, by the way. I don't even know if that's a weekend. And then the host says, no, we can't. We have this going on, that going on, or our permits are over. So at that point, Baseball Ontario's rep council would have to, or select council, if it was a select championship, they would have to decide, what does that look like? Do they move it? Do they find a different host? Do they combat this in another way? Those would be the variables that once we know we're playing, and you work backwards from that 6 to 8 week concept, and you work backwards. Like, okay, so could we do the provincials on that third weekend of September, working backwards, still providing 8 weeks of play? Okay, host, can you do it? Nope. Can we find another host? Does it change to home and away? Or I don't know. I'm making that up, of course. But that's where our councils will need to decide what exactly does that look like if the host can't participate. The other thing that I said that Rep and Select will have to give strong consideration to, and again, don't forget, your councils are well represented from locals to affiliates to our select loops to we have good representation. Alan Ebert and myself are on both councils as well. But again, those councils will have to decide things like, what if I am supposed to go to the provincials, but I lost half my team? What if I can't participate? What if I don't, again, is there a fine for the team that doesn't go in that environment like we have? Or does that maybe shift to another team? All those layers as we continue to operate freedom within a framework with the spirit of saving baseball for the season and trying to be as flexible as we can. And that would be the guiding principle to our councils as they work through this. But those are good examples of decisions to come when we know we're on the
next
field.
Question.
Working
Will Baseball
backwards
Ontario
from the
be
date when we know we can
prorating
start.
fees for a shorter season?
Okay, next question. Will Baseball Ontario be prorating fees for a shorter season?
I've already addressed that one. We possibly could look at it, but again, if the season typically goes, 8 weeks, let's say, middle of July, middle of September, could be 10 weeks, could be 6 weeks, could be 9 weeks. What that runway looks like is how we would determine. But right now, Justin, no, we have not looked at any of that type of fee structure because as of right now, operations are in place until May 1. As we continue to regroup with Board of Management, these are the types of questions that are going to get addressed. And obviously our treasurer, David Huckwith, he's done a tremendous job working on finances, working on cash flow projections, working on worst case scenario. So he would work this into that. And again, we would be able to communicate with you once we know more.
Okay, next question. Can umpires simply stay at the same level this year that they had last year and umpire on what they learned last year?
Okay, next question. Can umpires simply stay at the same level this year that they had last year and umpire on what they learned last year?
No. So you're saying if they don't do certification, they don't do the online exam, they don't go through their self-learning, and just umpire based on
next
last year's
question.
credentials?
Has it been
The
discussed
answer's
what
no.
the latest date to play baseball is? Is it October, November?
Okay, next question.